In my life, I had the privilege of talking with other ethnicities and people of other nationalities or who come from other countries. I've had talks with Pakistanians, with Russians, with Jamaicans, with Chinese, Japanese, Polish, Turkish, Germans, Hispanics, people from Puerto Rico, from Colombia, from Venezuela, Haiti, Trinidad, the list goes on. And one common thing I find with interacting with these different groups of people is that they always look at me and kind of give me like that, you're pretty cool. What do I mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
I believe it's very dominant of people who come from non-American culture that there's a certain mindset or way of living or how you carry yourself that demands you respect. And basically, from a lot of the conversations I've had with people who are non-American, who come from these different countries and backgrounds, was that I was one of the different Black people that they've had experience with. I first realized this back in 2020. I used to work at a warehouse in which there was a lot of Hispanics, there was a few Europeans, and a lot of Indian people. And for some reason, I would see a lot of the Black people, the Black Americans that worked there, they usually stay within themselves, only talked with other Black people. And when I would observe other races of people, they wouldn't interact with them as much. But whenever I came around, there was always a feeling of, oh, good to see you. Or, hey, how's it going? They would start up a conversation with me. And at that time, I was learning Russian, so I was practicing my Russian with another Russian worker. I also was learning Spanish because I did come back from another mission trip to Cuba, and a lot of the workers actually who worked there were Spanish speaking. And I think overall my work ethic was good. I came to work on time. I was pleasant to be around with. I wasn't hard-headed. I was very teachable. I worked hard. I wasn't lazy. So I kind of got a level of respect that a lot of my other Black peers didn't get. And my manager, who was an Indian guy from Guyana, he asked me, hey, where are you from? So I told him, well, I'm originally from New York. And he was like, nah, are you American? Where are your parents from? Like your cultural background. And culturally, I said, my parents are from Jamaica and I grew up in a very much a Jamaican culture. And he was like, okay, that's why. And I asked him, why'd you ask me? And he was like, oh, I don't know, you're just different. You're just very different. And from that moment on, I kind of realized, okay, he's basically saying I'm not like other Black people who work here. And for some reason, I've always had that experiences when I'm interacting with other people. I was always the cool Black guy who was cool with them. And maybe partially that was because I would always do my best to try to find common ground with people. And even just trying to learn how to say hi, how are you in their native tongue kind of opens them up to conversation. I remember even working at the hospital, our manager there, who was named Bryce, he was a white guy. Every Black person on the transport team was saying that this man was racist, but yet I had some of the best interactions with this guy. Even when I left the hospital, he was like, hey, if you ever want to come back and work, let me know. I'll hire you on the spot. And from just a combination of those experiences, I recognized that it's not that many races despise or dislike Black people. It's more so an attitude that you carry, that you feel like everyone else hates you, or you don't walk in life in a way that demands respect from people, which in the end would make a lot of Blacks jealous of me because they see how I'm so successful with these other people who they seem or deem as racist when they're actually not. They just tend to stay away from certain behaviors or certain mindsets that sadly is common in a lot of Black Americans. I think partially that's because I'm very adaptable. I adapt to where I am. If I'm talking with an older white couple, I adjust accordingly. If I'm talking with kids from the ghetto or kids from the hood or projects, I talk accordingly. If I'm talking with a Japanese person, I adjust myself accordingly. I think a lot of Black Americans lack the skill of adapting to their surroundings, or maybe just generally, I just like interacting with different kinds of people, and I always like to know people's stories. So maybe that's a factor in it as well. And I'm not trying to brag and say, oh, look how different I am. I'm such a good person. It's not that. It's more so I feel like a lot of the problems that we have with interactions with other people in the Black community, a lot of it can be self-inflicting. Just generally caring about other people, carrying yourself in a certain way will demand respect from people, and other people will open up to you if they sense that you actually genuinely care about them. And that's pretty much what I did. So that's the subject for today's video. I always find with this channel and even on my other channel that whenever I talk about race relations, they always tend to do very well. I guess people just like when I talk about the inner dynamics between different races of people and Black people. But overall, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And if you want to watch another video, you can check it out right here.